Hi guys, it's Lynn here. Hope everyone is having a fantastic day. Now guys, this is a quick update on the plants that have got damaged in the polytunnel that didn't come through that well. And this is the first one. This is the Pilocereus, and obviously it went black at the top. And what I've done is I've cut the top off, and we've already made a few videos actually on how to save a cactus from rot, and both from rot at the top of the plant and also rot at the base, and links up above to them videos because it goes into the whole procedure of how to save a cactus from rot from both the top and the bottom. So I didn't film the whole procedure because it can be a little bit time consuming. I'm just going to show you an update on what I've done. Now, I've done this one so far. I still have to do this one. So obviously I need to cut that one. So I'm going to show you afterwards how I've done this. And this one is the Pilocereus. Now, the good news is with this other one here is I've actually looked at it and it does sort of feel, although it's a little bit soft, it always does that this time of year. This has actually dried up this morning and it's actually gone sort of very firm. I think it could recover. Now, it did a similar thing a few years ago, and I'll just show you down there. It healed itself up with a thick white scab, and the plant carried on growing. So I'm sort of going to leave this rather than cut it. I'm going to leave it, and it's completely dried up, and see how it goes. Now, if it gets worse, I will cut it off. But there's a possibility it could just form a white scab and heal over. In other words, the damage could just be due to possibly damp and humidity levels, maybe with the cold, and it could possibly callus over. So fingers crossed that one might be okay if I just leave it. So I'll see how that goes. As I say, this is former cold damage on this Pilocereus in the past, and that just completely healed over. It looks very unsightly, but that healed over. And the plant carried on growing, as you can see. Now, this is what's concerning me. There's a lot of sort of pale skin here. But that's hopefully, I really have never experienced this before. So it's something I'm just going to have to leave and see how it goes. But the good news is I cut the top off and it was completely clear inside. No sign of rot. Now, I'll show you here. This is what's left of the top part. And as you can see, that was the first part there that was rotting. And I took the first cut plenty low down. See, that's where sort of the rot sort of stops, and then made sure I made another inch below. And when I cut it, as you can see there was still a bit of brown on the one side. So I wanted to make sure that there's no traces of brown at all. And I explain more in the videos on how to save a cactus from rot about the vascular ring. If there's any sign of brown, you have to keep carrying on cutting. And that was the other part. Bit more brown there, so I had to cut again. And then the last part, actually it's on the other side, it actually was clear, and I had to cut again until it was clear. Now I've covered this with a little bit of sulphur powder, which is this here, yellow sulphur. I'll just show you what we've got here. Excuse the toilet roll, guys. That's not for wiping my bum, it's actually for cleaning up the cacti with all the things. And here it is called yellow sulphur powder. And I find this very, very good. And I use this when I'm taking cuttings or I'm letting the plants dry up. I sprinkle this on. It helps to prevent fungus and mould from forming on the top of the cutting or the top of the cut that you've made while it's callousing over, forming a hard cut. And I find this really helps because in the past I used to cut plants like this, and then sometimes you used to find fungus or mould would form and you have to keep cutting again and cutting again, especially when they are indoors and not outdoors where the fresh air can dry up. But if you live in a warm country and fresh air would help to dry this up and there's no chance of rain, you don't need to use this. You can also use cinnamon powder as well with great effect, but I like yellow sulphur, and I'll put links down below where you can purchase this on Amazon because they seem to do the best value, which is where I get mine from there. It's a good sort of all-rounder to use, but I know it's not always easy to get in a lot of countries, but I find it's great for using to dry off the tops. So that's the first one done, and now hopefully over time this should side shoot and carry on growing. As you can see, I had to do a similar thing with this a few years ago. This went exactly the same way, went black at the top, had to cut it, and look at that, very healthy growth. And the same with this was in the winter of 2010 when it was very cold, and I had this in the house, but it was actually in the porch, like a porched conservatory, and it was hit by the cold even with the heater on and stuff, but it managed to recover like that. So there's no reason why it side shooted twice. In fact, no reason why this shouldn't recover, and I'll do an update video on it in the future. Now I'm going to start to work on this one. I'll show you what to do. I'm going to I'm not quite sure what this is because Trichocereus scopocoda is extremely cold hardy, so I really don't think it's necessarily the cold I've never seen this before either on one of these. As I say, we have the hot polytunnel, it never drops below a minimum of 4. It's usually average 6 to 7 C, so it really shouldn't have done this. But because I really don't know what this is, I'm going to be safe rather than leaving it, because it could want one of them things that could just go wide and carry on and heal up. I don't know, but to be safe, I'm going to cut this below there. That should callus over and side shoot. So I'm going to show you what it looks like after it's been done. Now there you go, guys. I've cut the top, and I'm pleased to say it's lovely and clear right through the middle. No sign of any rot there. And as I say, I'll just show you that here. Tiny little bit of orange in the corner, but absolutely none there. So that's a good sign. Now, I honestly have never experienced this before. Any of you guys who are very familiar with growing Trichocereus, I've been growing Trichocereus for years, but I've never seen that. I do think it's possibly some type of cold damage, but now, because it's so clear inside, I'm tempted to actually let this over sort of dry. I might put a bit of sulfur powder on this as well and just see how it goes, because I learn myself from my own experience, and from this I can share with other people. Will this sort of carry on rotting from the skin inwards? I don't know, but I'm tempted, because it's so clear there, just to actually leave it. Put some sulfur powder on the top part, and if it calluses over and it doesn't seem to rot, it'd be interesting to see what colour the orange goes. Then, you know, when the weather starts to warm up a bit and it's calloused over, I might try potting it up and rooting the top part and just see how it goes. And then at least I'll be able to share my experience with other people should this ever happen to your Trichocereus plants. But the good news is, I mean, it looked unsightly anyway, so it had to come off regardless of whether it would have hurt the plant long term. That's all fresh. That's going to dry up again. I'm going to dab it with some tissue paper now, because when you cut these plants, they give off a bit of a sticky resin. Dry it up and then cover it with a bit of sulfur powder. And in fact, I'll do that now. I'll just show you how to do it. So excuse the paper, guys. This is just literally where I've been sort of, clean the knife and everything like that on here. And as I say, always good to use a sterilised knife. This case, boiling water. And what I do then is I shall get the sulfur powder where it is here. And guys, the reason why we have so many plants in our kitchen is because these are ones that do not overwinter in our polytunnel, because they're mainly plants we've also had to bring in because they've just not done that well. So sadly, it's one of them things that we really do need to sort out some type of place to overwinter our plants rather than in our kitchen. But they do get bright light here. And hopefully when the weather warms up, which it should be now, it's spring. Now, literally all you have to do with the sulfur powder, I just sprinkle it on like this. And tiny little bits. This just really helps to dry up the callus and also prevent any type of rot, again, from spreading, and also moulds and fungus. I find it works a treat. Helps to dry up as well. So that's that one done. And I'm going to put a bit of sulfur powder on the top part as well and see how it goes. It's a bit of an experiment, because it's going to be interesting to see how this actually goes. And like, it doesn't feel soft or anything like that. It's quite firm. So it could be just purely external skin damage. And I've experienced black spots and all the rest of it on Trichocereus, because they do, a lot of the Trichocereus scopocoda included do contain sort of alkaloids in the skin. And so the growing tip looks pretty good, but obviously it's so sickly looking, it's really not aesthetically, but I'm going to keep it more of a bit of an experiment and see how it goes. Put a bit of sulfur powder on there as well. And as I say, there's a little tiny bit of an orange spot there, so it'd be interesting to see if that spreads or not. Purely keep for an experiment on that one. So that's that one done. And that again will side shoot in the future and come across at the top and go into a nice candelabra effect. And the same with this one. So guys, that's a bit of an update on them two. And as I say, going to see how this one goes and do an update on this. Hopefully, I think I'm going to leave that, and it might hopefully just sort of recover. So guys, I want to send you loads of love, heaps of happiness, and tons of cactus power. As always, from Ireland. And until the next video, guys, bye.